thank you for coffee. It was nice spending the night with you. And once I looked at those chats, I was just like, this is the night he told me he had a boys thing. This is the night he said he had Bible study. This is the night he said he had a business trip. All that. All. Could now see them in conversations. I didn't talk about it because I also have very bad anger and I tend to talk very, very bad when I'm angry. So I was just like, you know what, let me sleep and I'll talk about it in the morning. In the morning, it's calm. He said, I'm going to the gym, I'll be back. He comes back and I want to address it. And I couldn't keep cool and I'm like, you are crazy. You're about to have a child. You're still talking with your baby mama. And this other woman that we handled a few days ago, why are they still recurring? Why is this woman recurring? Why is your baby mama still somebody you're flirting with? What's going on? You're married. You're getting a child. So what's going on? It's like, no, since you didn't want me to be intimate with other women, I just thought maybe talking to them is not harm. And I'm like, since when? Show me where. I'm like, no, this is not something I'll tolerate. I don't want this. Give me your phone. I want to address everybody. I'll send them messages. He threw that phone across and it hit me straight on my forehead. And I was
I don't know, maybe inaweza kwa some instances, but I don't really think that inaweza like if the guy is not doing it himself, like si ati ni initiative yake amedecide ya kwamba ana stop these relationships na these people, ana stop these conversations na these people. When you do that, ni kama like you're not really helping your case. The best thing to do is leave that person, because ni yeye ana make these decisions, ni yeye anasaka wasesi ati like au ndo wamekuja kumseduce and all these things, like ni yeye ndiye amesaka these people. So what do? He is the one that is cheating, you see. These other people are just being seduced by him. So instead of calling these people and kugombana na wao for no reason, because kuna probability ya kwamba they even know that this guy is actually married, but still wana engage naye. So the problem is not even them, the problem is this guy, the person that is initiating these conversations. See, so kwa call na kuongelesha na nini, it doesn't really help. You have to deal with the main problem, that is this person. So ni kama pia vile nasemekanaga na machalida, tukipata kama denge wako na cheat na some guy, instead of beating up that guy ama instead of violence ama kugombanisha yo mse is just a victim of this lady, like pengine hata ajui that this lady is dating ama has somebody else. So the problem is huyu mdenge, so you have to focus on the problem and not these other people, because utadeal na these people, and once these people are gone, there are still other people that you'll have to deal with again. So instead of kudeal na symptoms of the problem, just deal with the problem once and for all and leave this guy. So that's the only way ambao unaweza sort solution, unaweza sort issue, because again, if he has done it once, he'll do it again. So don't expect any miracle unless ni Mungu ndiye ameperform miracle kwa roho mjango ndio atakuja badilike, but this person is a beast. So ikiwa amefanya hii kitu after hii period yote and he comes up with that lame excuse ya kwamba kuna nipatia attention so imebidi nitafuta nao wase, na that person is just, that is that person. They can never change. That is who they are.
oh, so we are still hitting me and hitting now me with things interesting. I was like,
hiyo ndio time ulikuwa nafaa utoke hapo, achana mambo na interesting, just toka hapo, because men who are true men don't beat their wives, don't beat their partners. Men that are real men hawapigani na wanawake. And if a man does it once, he'll do it again. So mambo na interesting unachana nao kabisa. Wewe ni amekugonga, toka hapo, enda kwa mamako. Simple as that, because if kumbuke mara ya kwanza ilikuwa slap and then akaambiwa I'm sorry, akatoka kwa trance, ndio. So the next time ambao kwa trance yenye ameingia tena now amemrushia simu, amemgonga na kitu. So ikiwa ni simu ndio amemgonga now, what do you think is the next thing ambaye enda kumgonga now?
And I told him, you know what? Continue with your women. Actually, seems you're happier when there are very many women. That's where you prosper. And he was like, okay. He seems he wants to talk about it. I did not want to talk about it at that specific time. So what he did instead, he pulled me by my locks, dragged me from the bedroom across the floor till the sitting room and put me on the chair. And I'm like, I said I don't want to talk about it now. You also tell me when you don't want to talk about things, I should understand. Here you are pulling my hair. For what reason? I won't talk about it right now. I value my marriage. I'm like, doesn't seem like that on text, but I don't want to talk about it right now. He hits me. He strangles me at this point, and I can tell him, Bumpy, I cannot breathe. So I managed to kick his chest with my foot, and he fell. And I'm trying to catch my breath, and I'm like, are you trying to kill me? Because you're strangling me. I'm pregnant. I'm not understanding. What war specifically do you think you're going to be winning? I'm pregnant. You're going to win anything you do right now. And again, I can see him getting out of a trance, like he's shaking his head, he's scared. And he starts immediately, sorry. And I'm like, I don't want your sorry. This is something you're doing now. And for the next 2 weeks, he's the most sweetest, most amazing human being I've ever met. He felt like the first person I met in the beginning, years back. And I was happy. And he'd always validate me. It will never happen again. It will never happen again.
It will happen again. It will happen again. It will happen again. That is something ambayo unafaa kuweka kwa akili yako. Whatever your partner does, mara ya kwanza ataifanya mara ya pili na mara ya tatu na mara ya nne na mara ya tano. So if it's something that you can put up with, then okay. But if it is something that unajua vizuri you cannot put up with, then let that person go. Wewe jisamehe for ever choosing mse kama huyo, and then move forward na life, because life is too beautiful for you to stick with mse mmoja mwenye doesn't deserve you, because you deserve better. Whenever anybody anakumistreat, if they treat you bad, that is on them, it is never on you. There are 8 billion people kwa hii dunia. There are very many men kwa hii dunia, and there's that one person that is out there for you, that was meant for you, that is looking for you. So usikuja ukakutana na one bad apple and then uka decide ya kwamba all apples are bad. That one bad apple ni mbaya tu sababu ya circumstances pekine pale ambayo ilitokea, but there are still good apples out here. There are still good people out here. There's still that good person out there mwenye nakungojea tu, and when you meet them you will know. Si hizi mambo ingine ati mara I liked rides, I liked sijui nini. Like when you meet your person you will know. Without a shadow of a doubt you will know. And you will know because love calls and love answers. So don't put up with garbage kama unajua vizuri that you're not happy with a certain situation. So always speak your mind and be brave enough to let go and forgive yourself.
And I was content. So this one specific time, we were sharing the laptop. I still go into the laptop. I'm writing a document because my assistant is at work. So I'm supposed to write documents for my clients for us to get paid. So I'm on the laptop. I'm now trying to connect my WhatsApp with WhatsApp web on the laptop. And I see his WhatsApps. And I can notice that there's a woman he's been clearly talking to that is clearly pregnant with his child. And I was trying to collect my jaw from the floor. I was angry. I immediately start crying, and I'm like, why? I had very few weeks to delivery, and it's not making sense. He comes home, and I'm asking him, what's the meaning of all this? I need an explanation. He opens his mouth and tells me that woman was depressed, and I was just acting as a father figure to her and the child she's about to have. And I'm like, wow, Is that why she's asking for your names to put in the birth certificate? Is that why she's saying our child? Is that why she's asking when will you take your dad to her house? Is that the reason? He gets mad and punches. There's a mirror we had on the wall. He punches that mirror. He starts bleeding. At this point, I think I was so used to it. I just look at him and I'm like, another dent. Let's see who'll pick it up this time. He had a bike, so he'd take the car keys and leave. And for once, I didn't stop him. I actually gave him his other riding gear. I'm like, here, please go. Because this is what you always do. He left. I did not pick up any glass. I left them there. So when he came back, he found them there. He cleaned them up and he came to the bedroom. He's like, you didn't even call me to get to know where I was. And I'm like, what for? Why would I? Why would you bang the mirror, break the mirror, and then come? You've left at a point where you know you have done something wrong, and then you want me to now be concerned. It's like, if I leave, sometimes I might get out and get hit. And for a brief moment, I replied. I told him it would be better rather than having you around this house with all that you're taking me through. I had approximately 3 weeks to deliver. But according to when you go to the doctor and they give you that due date and all, it was actually supposed to be a month and a half, but I gave birth 3 weeks later. So in the 3 weeks, he was good. He was very good. And now what happened is, you remember the woman who was in the house that I came home to that was still in the house, and I asked why hasn't she left yet? One day she came home. Apparently, Bumpy talked to her because Bumpy could not get through to me. I had gotten to a point where I had a wall. I didn't care about him, what he did, what he wanted. I just follow what he said. I was like, we're going to the market. I'm like, okay, let's go. We're doing this. Okay, let's go. I was there. I never questioned. I never did anything. So Bumpy was worried. So Bumpy called this lady, and this lady started talking to me. So instead of calling me on phone, what she did is she came home. Bumpy was not home, but she was. So I asked her, why are you home? She's like, Bumpy told me you're not okay. So I'm here to figure out why. I'm like, one, you're the reason number one among the reasons we're not okay. Came to our house. You are touchy with my husband after I specifically told you something. You didn't have the courtesy to come ask me if that's how it is. You just took Bumpy's side and went with it. And she says, in my defense, Bumpy is the man. I was like, okay. And she's like, but that was then. Now I'm here for you. I want to listen to you. And I told her, actually.
Do you know, I'm sorry, I'm in a bit of a, what was informing this structure? There was something behind it, like, this is the man, you have to follow this. If you're saying you did not grow up seeing this.
The structure was, and this is something Bumpy threw around in any situation, was you're raised by a single mom. You wouldn't know how households run. You wouldn't know anything about submission.
That is manipulative. That is completely manipulative.
And since honestly and genuinely I did not know, because I was raised by a single mom, I did not see her submit to somebody, especially at an older age, to see how submission goes, I'd believe it. And he would always say, but I know submission, I know the role of a man, because he has both parents. So I was just like, okay, that makes sense.
I really do wonder about that, because I don't want to come off. I know there's people who actually live by that, where the man says the final word.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if it's right. I don't think you should always be fighting with your partner if that's the agreement you've come into. But at what point does the woman have a little bit of a say?
At that time, I did not know when the woman had the say.
So here is how mambo na submission works. The man ndio the head kwa relationship yenyu, si ndio? And women want men who lead, not men who are being led by them. So That is very important. And with that, that said, a man lazima ukuwe mse mwenye you are wise, because again a woman won't be submissive and won't just follow you blindly if she hasn't seen in you a leader, if she hasn't seen in you somebody mwenye uko wise, if she hasn't seen in you somebody mwenye you are capable of handling business. So if I know kuna those guys wenye wana feeling like simply because they are men then wana command respect. Like respect is earned, it is not just donated, it is earned. Submission is also earned, it is not donated. So even kunakuwa this misconception that the modern lady does not want submission. That is never the case. They always want to submit, but wanatakanga waone kwamba umeshawapatia enough evidence for them to be able to submit to you. So that said, instances ambazo zinataka instances zenye a woman akona say, definitely one of them when it comes to decision making, anything ambayo is going to affect the two of you, inataka nyinyi nyote mketi chini discuss this issue, and then after discussing it you are able to come up na a solution ambayo nyinyi wawili mmeagree upon, because it's going to affect you. And if you're a man and you feel like kwa akili zako when mse mwenye you can make decisions for the two of you and the woman has no say, then the best thing for you to do is just to stay single, so that ukwe affected na your dumb decisions, because we don't know everything. You can't pretend that you know everything. You can't pretend that you can make decisions for you and for your woman, you see. So that is where opinions za women zinakuwaga very important. And most men ama some of you guys will agree with me that kuna zile advice zenye your woman anaweza kukupatia ama ameshawahi kukupatia at some point na zilikusaidia sana, because they are like women ni hawa wase wenye sisi men tunawezaona pali tunataka kufika, but some of like wise women, achana thoughts, I'm talking about like real women, they are able to see the little ways ambazo ama these little routes zenye unaweza fuata so that ufike pale pali wewe umeshaona. So now you need to be a leader in that extent. You need to be a leader mwenye your woman ana trust in leadership yake, because wakati utadecide kuforce leadership on nini, utataka kuforce this issue on a woman that lazima ufanye kitu mimi nimesema because I'm the man na you're not showing any wisdom hapo, and you're not going to get you're not going to get what you need from this woman. Atakupatia kitu ambayo unataka kuona, but internally she's doing none of that. So
according to him, who knows how submission works and how a household runs,
he does not know how submission
always
works.
said that the man has the final say. And since I always wanted to show that I'm a submissive woman and a woman who wants to be an added piece of value to him, I stick with that.
Did you not have any friends to talk to?
One thing that I can tell you guys for a fact is that this lady alikuwa najua whenever this guy was saying things zenye are not it. So nile tu alikuwa na choose to not listen to what her brain and her heart are telling her. Nile tu hakuwa anataka kubelieve kitu yenye instincts zake zilikuwa zinasema, because like you really have to be really desperate for you to not see all these signs zenye they are glaring at you ya kwamba there is a walking flag a walking red flag, a real life walking red flag yenye iko na roho yenye inagonga. So well, it's tough.
About what was going on in your marriage, in your family life, in your relationship?
I did. Funny thing is, yes, I did. I never said those dark parts. Why? Because Bumpy and Bumpy's mom always told me that marriage stuff are never told to anybody else other than the household you're in.
The weaknesses za your husband, the weaknesses za your wife, roho yako ni kaburi ya hizo weaknesses zote, so like nobody else has the right to hear about the weaknesses of your husband ama the weaknesses of your wife. Hiyo is settled. But when it comes to story na abuse, enye somebody is assaulting the other, na hiyo nasi inabidi unaongea, cause hiyo ndio, it's okay kama our mothers and our grandmothers walikuwa hivyo, and that is how dynamics za marriage zilikuwa zinawaka around that time. But nowadays no, because we've lost a lot of women through hii upuzi, and you feel like, oh, you just wevumilia tu. Na if you say bullshit, toka hapo, because times zimechange. Kitambo ilikuwa hiyo kupigwa tu, naona, and watu walikuwa na rudi wanakuwa back together nini, but siku hizi inakuja inakuwa something else. Siku hizi ni hadi wase wana mada their spouses, so like if, and that is regardless of what gender, whether ni mwanamume ama whether ni mwanamke, wote wanamalizana siku hizi, naona. So like anytime ambao umeona violence kwa njia yote ile, usifiche your partner, my friend. Ongea na rafiki yako, ongea na, actually hata achana na rafiki, ongea na mse yote mwenye, whether ni guardian or your parent, because kama you have a parent, then why not trust them na hizi issues zenye unapitia, because they have the right to know you are their daughter, you are their son, naona. So let them know. And if una come from these families zenye pengine your parents walikuwa some piece of that, then you have friends wenye unaweza ongea na wao, a friend mwenye you really trust, a friend mwenye ashakuonyesha that you can trust them with these issues kama hizi, and they'll give you wisdom. Na kama si a friend, then a guardian, like there is always somebody you can talk to. When it comes to mambo na assault, usifunge mdomo yako ati mambo na marriage, hii inakuwa tu kuvumiliana tu, haifai kutoka nje ya nyumba. Man, get out of here with that nonsense. Ikiwa unakuwa assaulted, tafuta beshte, tafuta a parent, tafuta a guardian, talk to them. Hizi vitu zingine zao, pengine mjamaa analewa, akilewa namchukonga kwa mtaro kila siku, ama this person anabehavingi hivi nini, like hizi weaknesses, pengine aflashingi choo ama sijui nini, vitu kama hizo. Those are weaknesses za your partner. Those are weaknesses that you can always work together so that ziishe, naona. And those, hiyo roho yako ni kaburia hizo weaknesses ya your partner. But mambo na assault and stuff, na hiyo unafaa uonge.
So according to Bumpy's mom, it was, if you're not able to solve it with Bumpy, come tell me. So I tell her, yes. So I've told Bumpy's mom. Bumpy's mom is like, oh, you're the one with the temper, reduce your temper. So I'd always fit.
Family itasaidingi na family siku zote. Hiyo ni facts. Family will always side with the family. Wewe ni msichana, umeolewa ndio kwa boma ya this man, but remember that you have your mother mwenye pia alikuwa ameolewa kwa boma ya bwana yake, ya kwa kina bwanake. So experiences utakuwa nazo ni almost the same experiences yenye your mama alikuwa nazo, you see. So the best person to talk to is your mom, because she's the one with your best interests kwa roho yake, not mama ya your boy, because family will always side with the family. That is a fact.
that. So if I know I have a temper, instead of speaking when angry, I'd speak the following day. If I always want to nudge something, instead of always asking and asking and asking, I'd just wait until it's a appropriate time and ask Bumpy.
I think those are admirable traits, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think you should not speak when you're in a heightened state, and it's always good to kind of take some time before you retort. But there's some dysfunction there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So that's what I always did. So every time he'd hit me, I'd go back and maybe say, I'm the reason.
Yeah.
Why? Bumpy says I'm the reason.
Nah. Ladies, anything ambayo msee anakufanyia si ati there's something wrong with you ama there's something ambayo you actually need to fix so that msee ache kukupiga, so that msee ache kufanya nini. There's nothing that is wrong with you. There's everything that is wrong with this individual mwenye anakufanyia all this stuff. So love yourself enough so that ujue ya kwamba ujue kuweigh when makosa ni yako, and when whatever is happening is not because of anything ambayo umefanya mbaya, and learn to understand that there's nobody, provided when msee mzima tayari ushatoka kwa mikono ya your parents, there's nobody mwenye kuna authority ya kukuguza ati anakupiga. No. And when it happens, leave. Nobody should have the power ya kukupiga nikawe ni mtoto mdogo. Should never happen. And any man who does that, man, shame on you. You're one of the worst human beings wenye wameishi kwa hii dunia, and kama inafaa ikutana na wewe one of these fine days, and itakutana na wewe, because a woman is to be treated with respect because they deserve it. Huu ni mama ya mtoi wako. This is the woman, this is the person mwenye anakupikianga food. Like imagine if msee mwenye unamfanyanga hizo zote unamfanyia hizo stuff zote na ndio msee anakupikianga food. Huyo ndio msee mwenye kama ni maji unaweza mwambia niletee hapo maji. Can just imagine how many ways that thing can go with you upuzi ukiendelea kuifanya hivyo. Like what if siku moja tamka tu and then you see. So again, I'm not encouraging that, but I'm just saying that you want to treat this person mwenye ana take care of you with a lot of respect, because they deserve it, especially if they take care of you, and if ni mama ya mtoto wako ama mama ya watoto wako, you have to treat them with respect. If you don't, then just give it a few years. Because right now utakuwa na your way yenye utamistreat and all that, but these children ambao wanatoka ambaye anawalea wanakuja wanakuwa ami yake. So now when you are old and when you can't now lift a finger, hata chana time when you go old, now when these children ambayo mmekuwa mkilea watakuja wafike ile level ambayo sasa ni watu wazima, people wenye wako na pesa zao na mali zao, my friend, hautakuwa na mdomo ya kuongea, and hizo masiku ndio utakuja look back and you'll regret what you are doing right now, because a real man does not beat up mke wake. A real man does not assault mke wake. Simple as that. And if you do that, then you're not a real man. Wewe tutajua story yako mbele.
Mom also says I added to the reason why Bumpy was hitting me.
Nope.
So I'd always try and find out why. And I came to understand when Bumpy said you're not being peaceful, it's because I found out he was cheating. Mm-hmm. In his head, I was not supposed to find out, but I found out. So finding out, questioning him, wanting answers, wanting accountability and all that, to him was not being peaceful. But that I found out later on. So this lady has come home, and believe it or not, Jules, I specifically told this lady, Bumpy says he wants somebody to be intimate with at this moment that I'm not. Let it be. She's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. You're always here. You're always talking to Bumpy. Why not?
This is what you told her.
Yeah. Because now for me, what I was thinking is if I gave Bumpy one specific consent person, the rest of the women would go. And I'd be able to control this woman. So in one way...
You can never control a situation kama hiyo. If you have a cheating spouse, they are cheating. And if wamekuwa wakiongea na this lady peke yake, if wamekuwa wakiongea na this lady and very many others, when unasikia thanks for the coffee, oh, it was wonderful, last night was wonderful, blah blah blah, inamaanisha that he'll still do it na other people. Just get it straight, he's still going to do it with other people because amekuwa akifanya na other people. So it's not like amekuwa akicheat na only this one person. Ingekuwa this one person, then what you're saying inaweza make sense, but the fact that ni this person and ndio wanaongea na yeye hapa na pale, and this person actually anakuwaga officially invited kwa hao yenyu, but these other ones naye wanaongea nao kwa WhatsApp and wanakutana nao places ambazo wanakutana nayo, like then hiyo movie yako ita make sense. If anything utakuwa unajishoot kwa miguu because he'll probably sleep with this lady and he'll still continue na hizi escapades zake za imekuwa na these other women. So
now that I had the upper hand, I in fact did not have an upper hand. So the baby came. She's been there 3 weeks. The baby has come.
What do you mean, living there?
She's been with us every single day.
Does she live there? What do you mean by with you?
She's there Monday to Friday or Monday to Wednesday.
Does she sleep in your matrimonial home?
Yes.
In whose bedroom?
She wouldn't sleep in the bedroom. Bumpy and I would sleep in the bedroom. She'd sleep in the mattress in the sitting room.
Okay.
She was there always. She would clean the house. She'd make me breakfast. She'd get me ready if I needed to go for clinic, to make my nails. She was there.
You know why I was asking what was informing this? Because even as you're talking right now, it doesn't sound bad, but it's not something that you had agreed to.
Yes.
You're kind of doing this because your hands are tied. Because I know there are situations where, co-wives take care of each other.
Yes.
And it's something everyone is privy to. I know there are challenges there.
Yes.
Every side, everything. Monogamy has a flip side. Polyamory has a flip side.
Yeah.
Polyandry has a flip side. Like every side has a but.
Yeah.
But. So it's almost like, was Bumpy like, listen, I'm polyamorous, and she's going to come help us? Like, even when she's cooking, you're not saying, why are you cooking? You're only supposed to like sexually meet my husband's needs. What are you still doing here? Do you understand my question?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand what is this I'm listening to.
At this time, if she's cooking, I'm too pregnant to even stand on my feet. So I didn't mind. I didn't think about it. And then the funny thing is, she was there to satisfy Bumpy's sexual needs, but they were never, ever sexual in the 3 weeks that she was there until my delivery. Not a single day, because I was in the house all through, because I've taken maternity leave. So I'm there, I'm going nowhere. I'm swollen, I'm there. She was never intimate with him. But the thing is, she complained. She complained to me. She's like, why is Bumpy, even if I try, he always turned me down? And I'm like, I don't know. I honestly don't know. And it's not my place to talk to him. But I'd ask, do you want me to talk to him? And she's like, yeah. So I go back.
It's sorry, the one is scared and I feel like, is this really real? Because man, is it real? Because man, this lady has to be an angel. Umdenge anafaa kuwe tu, umdenge bana anafaa kuwe tu angel fulani tu binguni, because hii dunia huku dunia alijipata kimakosa. Because yani tell me that uko na mse mwenye is cheating on you every single day, na wase wa kila ina anytime ambao uta-access simu yake ama uta-access WhatsApp yake, utapata a lot of funny stuff going on, whether ni nudes, whether ni some messages ya vitu za intari washafanya, utakutana nazo, and it's not like anajaribu hata kuficha. because unapata every single time, so he's not even trying to hide it at this point. And though namsakia mse mwenye atakuwa nafanya naye hizi story, which diary that makes you an angel, and then he does not sleep with this lady, and this lady comes to complain to you that your husband is not sleeping with her. Like, for real, is this real? And then you want to go to your husband and ask him why he's not sleeping with this lady mwenye umemletea dunia simama nishuke. Saa zingine unadhaningi umeshasikia kila kitu, but kumbe tunazaliwa, kumbe tumeanza kuexperience life. With
the complaint I've been given by this woman to Bumpy, and Bumpy is like, no, I don't think I'm ready, but once I am, I know she's there. So I'm like, okay. So I ask Bumpy.
That guy is ready full blown. Huyo mjamaa anakuambia kila siku, anytime ametoka Makijani, kuna mdenge aenda kutana naye, kuna mdenge aenda kugonga kiengonga, akiseti ma frequencies tu. That is for a fact. Hakuna hapa ati ni ile tu sahi hapa home inabidi anakaa ni kama ametulia, because tayari anaona ni kama this is a trap, because ulikuwa umekataa hii mambo ya kuwa na third parties, and then right now unakubali kukuwa na third party. Anashindwa like, what is the catch? What is the catch? Is she umdenge ni kama ananipima huyu, so itabidi nimeact clever. So what does he do? Anaenda away. Sasa stories za home anaenda kuigonga away, zinakuwa tu mechi za away. So hapa atakuchocha zile za hey manze, I'm not ready right now niko na stress nini, but akitoka nje ni engonga. Hujakutana tu na recordings, but ziko kadhaa.
You said you'd want someone. The someone is here, and you seem comfortable having her around. What do you want? She's like, no, since you're very much not able to do everything around the house, how about right now she just helps around? And I went back to this woman and told her exactly what Bumpy told me. And asked her, is that something you're okay with? And she's like, yeah.
Oh man.
So that's the dynamic. That's what we had. So she'd come, go home to her house as she pleases. She'd stay over as long as she pleases. And even on the day that I went to hospital, now to deliver, she also was there. She took me to hospital together with Bumpy. And at that moment, of course, I'm not thinking about what they're doing at that point. I'm now here. It's me and my baby. My one role is to get this baby out of me safely and be also okay, you see? And that's what I did. Got into hospital, gave birth very well, my baby healthy. And on the day, I even called my mom, told my mom, your granddaughter is here. I also tried to get a hold of Bumpy, but since they had left hospital very late, I guessed he was asleep. So I called Bumpy and I couldn't get him. So I called this lady. I'm like, tell Bumpy his daughter is here. And since I was tired, I just hung up and went to sleep. They were also the first ones to come see the baby together. And I thought nothing about it now, because even after leaving hospital, my role was ensure you have enough breast milk, ensure you're eating enough, you're taking enough fluids. I didn't have time to think outside of that. So one day, my healing after pregnancy, after giving birth, was very, very fast. I had no tears, nothing major. So one day, I'm asking Bumpy, we've gone for our check, the 6-week check. I'm good. So I ask Bumpy on our way back, when are we starting action again? It's like, the doc has just released you. Just give it time. I also feel like you're very delicate. So let me understand you a little bit. And I was like, okay, makes sense. This whole time, this other lady is also still complaining they're not intimate. It's been now almost a month and a half. She's been home, no intimacy. And Bumpy made her vow her faithfulness to Bumpy.
This is so bizarre.
So this lady cannot get sex anywhere else except from Bumpy. And Bumpy is not giving her sex. So she's wondering, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? And she didn't mind because she'd help around the child with my daughter. I never had to move. If my daughter cried and she was in the crib, she'd wake up, give me the child. My thermos was filled with uji, water, food, everything.
Was Bumpy and you catering to her financial needs as well?
No.
Did she have a job?
Yes, she worked online, so she'd work there, finish work, all that. She did.
And how old was she? Because that's the question that I'd ask. Like, how old is this other lady? Because now we can operate. Like, what?
In our household, especially after my daughter came. Everything.
Was she also around your age? Or older? Or more towards Bumpy's age?
No, a bit older than me, 2-3 years older than I am. So I never, at that point, as a new mom, I was like, she's helpful, because otherwise I'm sure at some point I'd have to wake up in case Bumpy has gone to the gym or the likes. So I didn't mind, and I didn't think anything of it. So I just enjoyed that. But now the thing is, on days that I told Bumpy my friends, now my circle was coming over to our house to visit the baby, Bumpy would ask this lady to leave. So she'd leave. My best friend would stay over the whole week, help around and all. And then after, immediately my friend and my best friend leave, she's back. And back into the routine, back into doing whatever she was doing. So one day I asked Bumpy, okay, the baby's here, this lady's still here. You don't want to be intimate with me. You also don't want to be intimate with this lady. What's your deal? Bumpy's like, you know what? I actually, for a second, want us to start on a clean slate. And I'm like, what's your clean slate looking like? He's like, my clean slate looks like I want her to go. And I want this household to just have you, me, and my daughter. And I was happy. I'm like, finally, something that I'm okay with, comfortable with, something that is not me fixed in a specific cage. And that happened. But before Bumpy would tell this lady of, like, ask her to leave, because you just can't wake up and tell her, get up and leave. He said he'll handle it. So before that happened, I've been told we're starting on a clean slate. So it's this one specific Saturday. We've said it's going to be movie night. But I feel very tired, very sleepy. So I say I'll go to bed early. Sunday morning, I'm woken up by my daughter screaming. And I'm like, wow. I'm usually woken up by, if my daughter screams, one of them is Bumpy or the lady is waking me up to give me my daughter to breastfeed. None of that happened. And I'm like, maybe they're just watching a movie because it's Sunday morning. I go to the washroom. I go take water. I make some tea. And I'm like, hey, all these commotions, these people can't hear me. But I can hear the movie. It's like loud. So I go back. I breastfeed my daughter. And I change her and I put her down. So I go to the sitting room and I'm like, why can't you people hear me? Why haven't you heard your daughter crying? I open the door and it's this specific man that told me he wants everything in a clean slate, having sex with this woman on the mattress that's down there. I just walk in awe, look at him. I'm like, Bumpy, interesting. This is a clean slate. Nice to know. Close the door and go back, hold my daughter. I am crying, I'm angry, and I'm just like, you know what? It's okay. He came back a few minutes later, and I asked him, what the hell was that? What's going on? You're supposed to be asking her to leave, not be deep inside her. What's going on? With a straight face, this man tells me, I was thinking with my lower head. Sorry. I was like, okay, interesting. I did not talk about.
I'm beginning to feel like this guy akona fetish ya kupatwa tu saa zote, because this guy is just something else. Like, yani mse mwenye, based on his story up to this point, yani mse mwenye ni kama anakuwa na thrill akishikwa akifanya makosa, and to him it's not hata makosa, because like when this lady was okay with him having sex with huyu msichana mwingine, then he didn't want kukuwa na msichana. But when now ameshabonga na the wife, and then the wife and then washa agreed that this lady is leaving, you're going to start on a clean slate. And so this mama tayari amesha rewire akili yake, and now she's like no more third party. Then that is when this guy anakuja na make this move, and it's like hata mtoya analia, and normally wanapelekeaga mama mtoto wake whenever mtoya analia, but at this point wanasikia mtoya akilia, but they are not bothering, so wanajua that she's going to get up. Ameenda the kitchen, ame move around, so definitely wamesikia commotion, but hawafanyi yet. So like this guy akona fetish ya kushikwa. Hiyo ndio kitu naweza sema.
Again, but I did not let that man touch me ever again. My sexual switch just went all off. The lights were out. I did not want him to touch me. I did not want him to sleep next to me. It got to a point I didn't want him to even hold our daughter. And I'd tell him, I feel like you're just a dirty man walking, that nothing you even pronounce with your mouth is actually what you want. And I'd be very specific. You said you want to start on a clean slate. Your clean slate doesn't look clean, but that's on you. And that lady left. After a while, he noticed that I actually don't want to be intimate with him. But one specific day, I was having wine because the doctor said I can have some. I was excited. 2 glasses in, we got intimate. And I woke up and I immediately just felt a layer of disgust on me. And I just knew this is not something I wanted. I didn't talk about it. I just moved on. And I was like, let's just find it in us to forgive him and move on as well. And immediately after that, a week later, Bumpy was back to talking to his women, including the woman who just left the house. He's talking to her about his miserable being with me. He wishes that she was the wife because she seems more understanding.
Tell you this guy akona pattern. Before they got intimate na this lady Sophia, alikuwa amecomplainia Sophia about his ex-wife. Next, akaenda akacomplainia the ex-wife about who? Sophia. And now he's going to complain to this lady ule mwenye alikuwa wakifanya threesome na yeye, ameenda kumcomplainia about who? Sophia. So like it's like this guy tactic yake ni mse wa pity party. So like ataenda alilie these ladies kwamba you know, mama amenichosha bwana, she's not doing this, she's not doing that, she's lazy, I just wish that kungekuwa na msemo mwenye angeweza like in fact wewe na wish sana ingekuwa wewe blah blah blah. And then once again he is manipulative, so he manipulates these ladies into having sex with him. So man, this guy ni bendera tu mzima tu ya red.
How I don't want even to be intimate with him and it's bothering him. How I'm nagging him and all. He had a lot of complaints. So I read them and every switch now in me started going off one by one. I was like, okay, emotionally disconnected, physically disconnected, anything. I was just going disconnected. So one day he wanted to be intimate with me and I told him I don't want. He got very, very mad. He pinned me on the wall. His hand is on my neck and he got intimate with me with like in that specific position.
Oh my God.
I just left, went showered and just moved on.
You mean he raped you?
Yeah, that's the word, right? And I was just like, okay. Next time he asked politely, can we be intimate? I'm like, no. Like I honestly and genuinely don't want it. And I can see his frustration. He's like, now what do you want me to do? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, Now at this point, my anger and my calmness, I just can't. I'm unable. So I tell him, you have so-and-so, you can go to, you have so-and-so, you have so-and-so, and you have so-and-so. Why are you here? You complain to so-and-so and so-and-so about how nagging I am, how this and this and that. And since that's what they are, why not be with them? It's like, no, I want to be with you. But as usual, you're not a submissive person. You're not peaceful. And I'm like, and I won't be. If me being that means that you're allowed to talk ill about me and everything, then no. And I'll storm out. He came.
That is when finally ulikuja ukajua ya worth, because before hii time yote huku unajua worth yako hata kidogo. Yet this guy did not deserve you kwa njia yote ile.
Pulled my hair, slapped me, punched me, and I'm like, why? And then at the end, he pushed me towards the wall that I hit the corner of the wall. So I had like, my head was swollen. And he apologizes as usual. And I also apologize. And that was a cycle for like 2-3 months.
Why do you apologize for a wrong ambayo hujafanya?
That's all we would do. I'd find out about a woman, he'd hit me, he'd apologize, we'd move on. Find out, hit me, apologize, move on. That's what we did. One specific time, I remember I now needed to go back to work because the money he had apparently imeisha. And now he's telling me, oh, we can't afford a nanny, we can't afford this. And I'm like, I cannot survive without that nanny. Because being this new mom is not easy. I need that help. You're not always home. So it's not going to work. He's like, it's okay. So he's like, you need to figure out then how we'll pay the nanny. And I'm like, it's okay, I'll go back to work. So I started calling up my clients and I'd ask them, do you want my services back? Do you want my services back? I got my schedule full and I was happy. So I started going back to work. Me going back to work was a bother to Bumpy. It's like, oh, now you want to emasculate me. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, he'll because he's remember he's a narcissist and anapenda kuwa na control. And so when you're going back to work and you're going to earn money na he's not earning anything, hiyo tayari umeshavunja kifuli moja kwa hii chain yote yamekuwa akikufunga nayo. So bado kuna vifuli kadhaa, but at least umeshagonga hiyo moja and it's threatening to him. And he's feeling like at hii point ameshaanza kukulose pole pole because umeshaanza kukuwa na some independence. And yeah, kudos.
Told you not to look for a job. I'm not told you not to look for something. I'm just going back to what I was doing prior to pregnancy and giving birth. Mm-hmm. So he's like, no, but now it means you're earning more, you're providing for us. And I'm like, it's okay, I'll do that until you are able to like come back and do that. Mm-hmm. And I left it at that. But now I came to notice one specific day he left and told me he's going to a wake with his best friend. A mutual friend of theirs had passed and they need to go. And I told him, it's okay. You need to leave. You've also been in the house with a baby. You've been hands-on a lot. Let me now bond with you.
I don't know if you actually believe that crap, CG, because times zenyu jamaa amekuwa akienda Bible study. Amekuwa study biology somewhere. So hii mambo ya kwenda week. Unajua atakuwa awake akifanya nini?
Maybe. I specifically sent him money to go have coffee, have lunch, whatever he'll do with the boys. Because I know he's not been working and I'm the one who's earning in the house. And I used to do this a lot. It wasn't a bother for me. So once we did that, he left. And my intuition just told me, there's one specific lady we used to fight about a lot. Mm-hmm. My intuition just told me, I feel like he's with this lady. And the reason was because I asked him, communicate with me throughout, also just to get to know if I'm okay. I was like, you're leaving me with, the child was, I think, a few months. So I was like, you're leaving me with this child. Then the child is new to me. I'm also new to the child. Like, I'm not used to it by now. He's like, it's okay. He gets there and communication goes off. No picking of calls, no replying text. And if a text it's replied, it's one word after 2-3 hours. And I was just like, this behavior seems familiar when it's with this specific person. I talked to a mutual friend we had with the lady I allegedly thought Bumpy had gone to see. And told this lady, I think Bumpy has gone to see so-and-so. And since you're closer to so-and-so, please just find out for me. You'll just have done me a solid one. Because I've been thinking of leaving this marriage and I'm just looking for strong reasons why.
But you already have like 1,000 strong reasons why. And that is hata before ushike ball ya umse. And even after ulishashika ball ya umse, you have like, right now uko na infinity stones zenye zimekutosha ku end this marriage. Walk away. But you are still looking for stronger reasons. You see, that's the problem with and I don't blame this lady. I don't blame her at all. Alikuwa nasaka love, alikuwa nasaka mse mwenye anaweza mpenda, mwenye atamchukua jinsi yako, and alipata love in this guy, and hakuwa anataka to lose him in as much as he was not worth staying with. And because of that, Ali put up with a lot of crap, you see. Yet still kuna 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 red flags entire umeshaona kwa umse. So like usiseme kwamba ulikuwa unangojea stronger reason. Tayari kuna infinity stones zenye zimetosha ku break this thing and we'll move on na life yako, uanze life yako, you see. So ukijipata kwa situation kama hii, tumia tu akili, like angalia what this person has done up to this point. Ask yourself kama zile vitu zenye ashafanya tayari are enough. And tushasema that weaknesses, okay, everybody anakuwa na weaknesses here and there and we can always deal with that. But when it comes to mambo yenye sasa unakuwa assaulted kwa njia yote ile, whether ni physical ama emotional, just leave, because you're in the wrong place. You're at the wrong place with the wrong person and at the right time ya maisha yako. So get out, leave. It might be scary and it could be scary to start afresh, but you will thank yourself tomorrow for leaving and starting a whole new journey.
So this would be among them. Just like, sure, but she finds the information and she actually was sent a video of Bumpy in that woman's house, seated on her bed. I was sent, I saw it, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. Kept quiet.
Unageta nimaliza name about this industry. Kuna a lot of interesting things that ameshasema sema hii period yote, but
Later on, as Bumpy told me, we finished with the boys, I'm on my way back. This lady that Bumpy was just from called me. She was like, your man was here, and I can clearly see we are always having a back and forth, because I've heard of you in the past, and I'm hearing of you right now, and right now I'm hearing it in different dynamics, and I'm like, what are the dynamics? It's like, now my friend has told me you're married to him, you have his baby, and like, I'm like, yes. She even asked me, did you do anything to show you're married? I'm like, our parents met, his elders and my elders met. I feel like traditionally that's strong. It's like, okay, well, this is my man. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Also, in her mind, that was her man.
Yeah. And I'm like, ask her why. And she tells me, this is my man because we've gone to Diani together. We've stayed in Airbnbs for days together.
That lady has to be young. That lady has to be very mature. That lady has to be probably hata mjango ndio amemshow hizi vitu zote, that from today mama ajua kwamba wewe ndio wa mine. Wewe ndio wa mine. Unajua mbona? Unajua kuna msenisha ipeleka ya Airbnb. Unajua kuna msenisha ipeleka Diani. Hiyo unajua nimeinvest kwa sababu wewe ndio nimekutambua, wewe ndio wa mine. Chana wase wengine au sitambue chochote. when you are mine. So ashashoiwa a lot of crap, and I can believe because she's immature and she's very young. That lady has to be young. Sidhani kama anaweza kuwa older than Sophia at this point. So
you in those situations? And I'm like, when did you go to Diani? She's like, this day to this day. And I'm like, I was told he was at work. When did you go to the Airbnb? This day to this day. And I was like, I had gone to my mom's. Like, oh. So every time he was going out for travel, it was with this lady. And anytime I said I'm going to spend time with my mom or sleep over at my best friends or something, he was also with this lady, or she would come home to our house. Yeah. And I was perplexed. I could not understand. Bumpy came home. I could see that the clothes that Bumpy had are the same ones I was shown for fact. I showed Bumpy what I had. Bumpy, but at the moment I was showing Bumpy the video of him in that woman's bed, he had changed because I was outside unhanging the clothes and our daughter was asleep. On coming back, he's changed because he was on a bike, so he's changed. So I was assuming maybe he felt cold, he needed to warm up. He came, he's changed, and I asked him, I show him, he's like, with a straight face, he told me, but that's not what I was wearing. I asked him, what do you mean? I saw you leaving and I've seen you come. I know what you were wearing. He hid the clothes because that lady had told him that I now know he was here. So he hid the clothes under the bed and took me till the laundry basket and showed me, yeah, I've not changed. I've just removed a hoodie, and he put another hoodie there. And he told me, but see, so you're always just being told something by other women and you're always believing it. And I'm like, on this one, no. This one is straight from my intuition and I'm not going to betray it. And then I told him that, and I'm like, if that's how you want to manipulate me, it's fine, but I know you're at this woman's house. And he goes ahead as telling me, we can call her. And I'm like, yes, take out your phone. Take out your phone. And I even have her number on my Truecaller. So I'll just search her name and I will call. And he slaps me. Not once, not twice, not thrice. It's just a series of slaps. And I'm like, why? I'm screaming at this point. The moment he hears me screaming, he closes the door and hides the keys. So I'm screaming. I'm like, why are you slapping me? He's like, because you're always letting other women tell you your insecurities have led us to this point. And I'm like, what insecurities? And he tells me, you're insecure about your new body, your tummy, you have stretch marks. And I'm like, so do the women you are with. There's no woman living here that does not have stretch marks. Yep. We grow. We are moving. We are evolving. We come with stretch marks. You also have stretch marks. So why? No.
You also have stretch marks. Boy, alikuwa na stretch marks.
Just jealous. You have a lot of insecurities. And I'm like, no, Bumpy.
Did you ever tell him that you have insecurities?
That was actually him being manipulative. So wase kama hao, these narcissists, ni wale wase wenye you should never be an open book to them, because they will feed on zile vitu zenye zinakusumbuaga. Again, that is totally different from these other decent men. And nimesikia of this narrative ya kwamba women hawafai kuwa vulnerable na their partners, women should never tell their partners insecurities zao and all that. That's straight garbage, because kuna decent people out here. Kuna wale wase wenye ni anything but decent, and that is our wase kama kina Bumpy, you see. So if you're in a relationship with a person na this person hajui like weaknesses zako, hajui insecurities zako, hajui zile vitu zenye zinakusumbua akili, then why are you with that person? Because that means you're in the wrong relationship. You shouldn't be with that person, because msemo kwa in a relationship na yeye ni ule msemo mwenye anafaa kujue inside out. Jinsi wewe unafaa kunamjua inside out. That is how relationships work. Otherwise mtakuwa na a lot of instances wenye kuna just disagreements. You can never get along because there's nobody when ajua who their partner actually is. So
It is not that it matters, honestly, but like, did you?
I did. The first time I got my baby, I told him I'm not used to my new size.
And you're actually so petite. You're literally like a size 6, right? 6 or 8?
Actually, now I'm 10, 12.
Okay, yeah, but you're still very
Very tight,
slim.
yes.
Yeah.
So prior, I was 4'6". I was a size 4'6", and now I'm up to 10, 12. It's something I was not used to. I didn't know what to do with a curvy body.
I hope you know you look so good.
Yes,
Sophia.
now I do. Thank you very
look
much.
so like my
Thank
dream
you.
body is a size 10. What?
So I didn't know what to do with a small waist and a bum and hip. I didn't know how to dress it. I didn't know where to begin. And for the longest part, it wasn't because, not that I didn't know, it's because my husband that was supposed to validate, or I feel was supposed to validate my after pregnancy body, did not. Instead, he really body shamed it. It was, your stretch marks don't look good. They're too dark. Your tummy is way too dark than the rest of your body. Oh, those clothes are now way too tight. You can't do this, you can't do that. It was always something I couldn't do. My body was never the right body.
that is him trying to really break you down so that you feel worthless as zote, and so that umone kama this being mwenye you always have to worship because you are undeserving of love yake, and still he's giving you his love, which is again straight trash. That person ndio, actually it's the opposite of that. This person is number one, ako very miserable. Ni ule mse mwenye hadeserve love yako kwa njia yote, and you are the one mwenye hafai yet unampenda. So just think about that for a second.
However, the women he complimented and chose to be with were bigger, way, way bigger, which didn't make sense. So in my head, for the longest time throughout that marriage, I always compared and tried to fit in to this specific woman Bumpy had gone to see.
When you do that, who is ever going to try to be you? Because you're always trying to impress this person. And one thing about misogynists ni whenever you try to conform so that ukue mse ukue kitu yenye wanataka ukue, then they quickly lose interest in you. So don't conform so that ukue kitu yenye sio wewe, because when that happens, then inamaanisha self-esteem yako iko as low can ever be. And that is, and when you have that, then you'll never see yourself worth anything. You'll never see yourself kama msemo una deserve kuwa na anything mzuri ambayo uko na in life, and that is a place that you never want to be, especially kama you're still young, and especially kama hadi uko na mtoi mwenye calls you mom. So toa that type of thinking kwa akili yako. Always be you. Mse alikupata kama uko wewe, so kama alikupata ukiwa wewe hivyo, then anafaa evolve na wewe. Like love, you should have like you should love different people ndani ya this relationship, and by that I mean you should love the person mwenye ulikutana naye wakati mlikutana, and then unafaa love this person mwenye alikuja akakua wakati mlianza kuishi pamoja, and then the person that he will be tomorrow and the person that he will be 50 years from now. You should love all these people in this one person. So because changes zitakam. Naona huyo mjango mwenye kwa hapo tayari ushasema yeye mwenyewe hata ni kama kuna stretch marks. Sijui kama hizo suti, sijui kama zile suti alikuwa anapiga zilikuwa zinamtosha na hizo vitu zilimpatia stretch marks, hatujui. Naona, but yet you loved him for who he was at that time, you see, and you still love him hata kama anafanya all this crap right now. So you should never try to change for somebody kwa ile njia ambayo inakufanya unajiluzwe mwenyewe, and it's like unalose hadi identity yako ile yenye ukuje ujiangalie ujui hata huyo ni nani mwenye unaangalia kwa kioo. Never do that.
That's what I tried to do. Dress, talk, act, everything. I really tried to be that in my mind.
Man, this lady was just damaged. Alikuwa tu damaged. Crazy. Oof.
Maybe he'll see me. He didn't. So this day he's hit me, he's closed the door. And I'm like, I just can't take this anymore, Bumpy. This is just way too much. It's always something. If I tell you about something you're doing, it's always me. I'm not a peaceful wife. I'm insecure. I'm listening to other people. And I'm like, no. So that day he hit me, it was the first time I told my best friend that Bumpy hit me. My best friend was like, was it the first time? It wasn't the first time, but I told her yes. I was so ashamed. I was filled with guilt, shame, and anger. My best friend is like, maybe talk to him and see what's going on. And I'm like, okay, let's try. So I Googled how to.
Umeuliza the right question, but the problem is you have not been open with this friend of yours. So yeah, anafikia that this is the first instance yenye this thing imefanyika, but in real sense probably ita ni mara ya 10 right now based on history yote. So why take advice ya the wrong question? Ona. So the answer ni talk to him so that ujue mbona, yet this person has been doing this a couple of times already. So talking to this person, asking this person, you are repeating the same cycle ambayo umekuwa ukifuata hii period yote, which is yeye kukugonga and then you talk about it and then unamsamehea and then you bring something up again tomorrow and then ni hivo and hivo and hivo. So like what you're doing right now is not actually different from what you've been doing all this time. So if you've been doing all this and it's not been working, this method ambayo umekuwa ukifuata has not been working as it seems. So why continue following the same method? Like there's no miracle ambayo itafanyika hapo. You need to try something new, try something different, try a different approach, something ambayo at least utasema kwamba nilijaribu hii pia.
Submissively talk to your husband so that he can just talk to me without the anger, without the heating. I went, spoke to him. He said something outrageous, of course, and I went crazy. Mm-hmm. I'm also talking back. He's hit me. Makia was hit last night. Today's another night. Mm-hmm. I'm being hit again. And I, for the first time, I just told Bumpy that, honestly, Bumpy, eventually, we are going to get divorced. He's like, no, you have a child of this compound. You will never leave this compound. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I asked him, what happens to the children that you sire that are from this family and this compound? And I was like, your other child is your child.
Oh, yes, there was the lady with the birth certificate. So it was his child?
It was his child.
And you knew this?
Yes.
Okay. So
she did a DNA test that I paid for.
Oh, my God.
So she was pregnant, yes. And the other...
Did his mom know?
No.
Okay.
There was also the baby mama. So I was like...
Oh, yes.
You've been having children and they're not in this compound. And I feel like the moment they're not in this compound, they're suddenly doing well. So what again are you going to be telling me? He went crazy. He punched me. At this moment, I was punched in my ribs and I could feel I'm not breathing. And I could feel like I'm tasting blood in my mouth. And I'm like, what's going on? By the time I'm processing this, he slapped me. He's pulled my hair. He's banged me on the wall. I can hear my daughter scream. And I'm like, Bumpy, our daughter is screaming because you're making me scream. Have some decency. And he's like, I don't care. I really don't care. You're here disrespecting me, disrespecting this household, disrespecting our marriage just because of some women. And I'm like, wow. It was never him. He was never at fault. It was always me. And I was hit. And by the time he was going to now get my daughter because she was crying, I was not bleeding. My eyelid had swollen because I had banged myself on the wall. My rib felt like it was broken because I could taste blood in my mouth. Like I had blood in my mouth. And I just sat down where he left me and I was crying and I was asking myself honestly, why? 2 days went by, I couldn't go to work. How am I going to explain to my clients, why is my lip busted? Why is my nose swollen? Why is my eyelid? I don't have an explanation. Plus, I'd been lying so many times to my clients about the bruises I have. It now felt like my clients are just going to suspect me now. I stayed home for a week. I lost clients during that week because they could not understand the inconsistency. I couldn't tell them of the inconsistency. There are some clients that are really concerned and really called and could not hang up until I told them the truth. They would tell me, it's okay, I'll call you later when your husband is not around. And I want you to tell me what's going on.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Whew.
And I had 2 clients that were like, you know what? It's okay, I'll give you this month off. And it was under the condition, you need to leave. I want by the next month, you're done and you've left. And I'm like, okay. I was like, okay. I told my best friend of now everything. One day I just sat down and I told her of the 3 Psalms, of all the heating and everything. And she's like, you can't do this. You have a daughter. It can't go on. And I was like, yes. But every time I said yes, it's true, it can't go on, I still stayed in that marriage. Made no sense. That day I was hit. Week 1, I'm not going to work. After that, it got to a point where he would not allow me to leave the compound with my daughter. Whether I'm going to the shop, no. It got to a point, if he wanted to talk to me and he thought the conversation would get heated, he'd take our daughter to the mom to hold our daughter. And it was crazy. He'd come home, Bumpy would come to the house, we'd talk. He'd hit me. I had to be hit and then go back to his mom, take my daughter as though I've not been hit. This is okay. We were just talking. It was normal marital stuff. And go back to the house, now breastfeed my daughter while crying. So after some time, I got a nanny, of course. One day, my nanny is there. And a few weeks after my nanny was home, I had lost my phone visiting my best friend. It was snatched by one of the Buddha guys. So I'm using a kabambe, the small button phone that we always use. And I think somebody, probably a wrong number, texted me, "Hi dear." And there were the very many hi dears like under that number. It wasn't a saved number because I didn't know who it was. So he saw it. I'm in the shower. He's opened the door. He's like, "Oh, these people who are texting you, hi dear, are the ones that are making you here always question me. And these women that I'm always telling you there's nothing to worry about. Is this the reason? They wouldn't even text you anything decent in this time." I'm like, what are you even talking about? What's hi dear? Or who's texted that? I don't know anything about it. He tells me there's a number here that has texted you hi dear so many times. And I'm like, I have nothing to do with that. I don't know who that is. Because I have nobody who texts me hi dear. And he doesn't believe me. He yanks me out of the bathroom. And he's like, you need to explain this hi dear. Is this the reason why you'd sit down and tell me you want to get divorced and eventually we will? I'm like, no, the reason we get divorced is because of you, your anger, and you constantly hitting me. He's like, yeah, if you are peaceful and if you are submissive, I wouldn't need to be hitting you. You have anger issues. And I'm like, okay. I just said, okay. He got mad. He started hitting me. I'm wrapped in a towel at that time. He's hit me. He's thrown the kabambe towards my face. He's like, you and this are my ideas. These are your options. And I'm like, I have no options. Honestly, there's nothing I'm doing wrong. And I don't know the idea who it was. And I'm apologizing. I'm sorry if it offended you. At that time, I don't even know who it is. I don't even know what he's talking about. That went. We slept. I woke up. I'm not going to work. I'm week 2. No work. My nanny has come. I've already started weaning my baby. And my nanny asks, Mama so-and-so, mtoto atakula nini? And I'm like, can do pumpkin, this and that for like asubuhi, and then try something else. Try some porridge, like I've just explained. And then Bumpy comes from the bedroom. He's like, you, Madam, hi dear. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, you need to let that go because I have no idea who that is. And he pulls me from where I was seated and pins me to the wall and slaps me and punches my tummy. Where he's holding me, I bit his hand for him to let go. And I rushed out. And I was screaming in the compound. He immediately took our daughter to the mom, like he always does. And I'm like, you know what? I want to leave. I actually want to leave today. I want to leave this marriage. I'm done. And he's like, you can go, but leave my daughter. And I'm looking at him. The daughter he's saying for me to leave is 4 months old. 4.5 at most. So I'm asking him, leave my daughter, how? She's a breastfeeding baby. You don't even breastfeed, you pump that milk and you go to work and meet those people who write text messages for you like saying, hi dear. And I'm like, are you going to base this whole conversation on hi dear from somebody I don't know? And like, those are your options. I don't care. You want to leave, go. Leave my child. And I'm like, I just pushed through him. I went upstairs and to the mom and was trying to take my daughter. As I was trying to take my daughter from my mom-in-law, I would see her turn around for me not to access my daughter and take her from her arms. And I just looked at her and I'm like, I asked, are you turning so that I don't take my daughter? Like, no, you know you're angry. And I'm like, what does that anger have to do with my child? This is my child. I gave birth to this child. I'm going, I want to leave this marriage and I want to live with my child. Eventually, Bumpy's brother came in and I was not allowed to take the child. After all, I was only allowed to breastfeed her, and on breastfeeding, they all stood there as I breastfed until she fell asleep. At this point, I have just texted my best friend what has just happened. My best friend is like, I can't take this anymore. You're hurt, I'm not okay, and I'm afraid you're going to die. She texted my mom. Mm-hmm. She called my mom and told her everything, from the 3 Psalms to me being hit to everything. Ooh. My mother called me boiling. And I told my mom, it's okay, let me just...
I just crazy that unaweza imagine tu sasa mamake akisikia hiyo story ya 3 Psalms.
Mom, I'll come to you, don't come. I left. I went to my mom's house. I'm crying. My mom is not understanding. She's like, Mom, you're too beautiful to be going through this. I'm crying. I'm trying to understand. When did it get to this point? Like, when did I even let it get to this point? And it was crazy. My mom is like, no, you need to leave. Sat down and told my mom, I want 2 weeks and I'll have left. She asked me what's going to happen in 2 weeks. She's like, I won't tell you. In 2 weeks, I'm going to come back and I'm coming back with my daughter. She's like, okay, you go back home. I went home. This man refused to open the door for me. Completely. Until the mom had to come down to see what the commotion is about at the gate. And I'm like, he refuses me to enter the house. Bumpy's mom tells me that what you did was not right, Sophia. And I'm like, what do you mean? You people stood there as I breastfed my child, a child that I gave birth to. You people stood there and let me not take my child after I've told you I want to leave this marriage with my child. And all of you told me that I can't. So what did I do wrong? I just left and went to my mom. The same way your son, Bumpy, leaves and comes to you. So what's the problem? She's like, makes sense. I entered. Bumpy's dad now is on the phone. I'm being told of how disrespectful I am and how I should learn to live with Bumpy. And I just told him immediately, no. Before you take a phone, call me and tell me I'm being disrespectful. Ask your boy what he specifically did. Ask for the real story, not this surface story that he tells you that tumejibishana, we've had an argument. No. Tell him to tell you exactly what he did. And he's like, he's told me. And I'm like, if he told you, I don't think you'd be telling me I'm disrespectful. And I specifically told the dad, I want to leave this compound. Same way I came, I have free will to live with my child. The dad does not live within a country. He lives in another country, works there. So he's like, you are not allowed to leave that house until I come back. He wants to come back in another 3 weeks. That's all. The only time he's allowed to take an off. In my head, I'm like, no. On the phone call, I said, that's okay. I'll wait. My mom has called my uncles that played the role of my dad, told them of the ordeal. My one specific uncle called Bumpy and he's like, you know what? This thing is going to get to cop level real fast. So you either need to figure it out with Sophia or the cops are going to get involved. This also uncle calls me and tells me, just work it out. And I'm like, there's nothing workable here. This man is just insane. Bumpy hears and sees that actually this thing has hit the fan. So we've gone to this store, we are talking, and he's calmed down. He wants to reason. And he now asks me, do you want your mom to take me to the cops? And I'm like, yeah. Yes, I do. Because you, your mom, your dad, your brother, everyone is okay with how you act. Everyone does not see as though you are on the wrong. Instead, it's me who's on the wrong. And everyone is just siding with you. It feels like I'm alone in this compound. And it's not going to work. So he's like, what if we find a way where we can work these things out? And I'm like, you've had so many chances where you actually would have worked on this thing and it would have worked. But now, I don't know. And he's like, I'll fight for this marriage. I'll fight for my daughter. I don't want to raise another daughter outside of marriage. And I'm like, I just told him, you have a very weird way of showing that you don't want to raise your children outside of marriage. A very weird way. Mm-hmm. And that conversation just ended there. Because he would see, like, he's talking to a different person who is thinking on their own, not what he was used to. And a person who is okay reporting their husband and the father of their child. So we go to the house. He's seeming nicer. He's made dinner, or rather he's making dinner. He's asking me, do I bring the child? Do you want to breastfeed? Do you want some time out? The likes. And I'm just like, no, just give me my child. I'll be fine. At this point, I feel like even the food he's serving me, he's about to poison me. It just feels off because he's from hitting me and not allowing me to enter the house to now being nice. It makes no sense. And it got to a point that same night, my mom and his mom had to come to our house to talk to us because, again, the arguments had started. The heating was again there.
At night?
Yes. So my mom came and it was late. I think it was midnight. I called my mom and I'm like, Mom, you need to come now. And Mama Bumpy, as usual, is like, this is marriage. It's the first year. It's going to be bumpy, of course, and it's going to be rough. They just need to figure out a few things. She's also explaining that even her, she had to persevere some few things in marriage to be happy. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, that's not how it goes. Why is it that specifically when you leave a situation that's not working for you, especially if it's marriage, suddenly it's not good. It's because you're newlyweds. You're going to get over it. Why? Why do I need to go through it at all? Is what I asked. And my mom was also like, no, if she wants to leave, she wants to leave because that's what she wants. And then at that point when our parents were talking, my mom started to side with Mama Bumpy. I was looking at my mom like, Mom, what the hell are you doing? Why are you siding with her? And she just tapped me to chill. So the moment she tapped me, I just knew maybe she had a plan. So I just trusted her. So they've talked, they've convinced me that let's work through this and all. And that's the narrative that was left in that room, that we're all going to
persevere.
Yeah, you see. And then my mom was like, when I get home, I'll call you And Bumpy actually escorted my mom till her house because she didn't live far away from us. And my mom got home, and as Bumpy was on the way back, she called and she was like, Mom, don't listen to any of that shit I just said right there. Just know that if you say we are leaving tomorrow, I'm there. I don't care. I'm there. I just wanted her to stop talking and for her to stop making you feel like you're the problem or marriages have to be like this. And I was like, phew, because I thought for a minute you're siding with these people. So like, of course I wouldn't. And that was that. So my mom now waited for me. My best friend waited eagerly for the day that I texted her, I've left, honestly. And we didn't speak all through, like the 2 weeks we didn't speak until the day that I left that I texted her. So after my mom has told me that, I'm now calm. I've now gone back to the house. Bumpy has come back and is like, I'm sorry that this is what it had to get to. Let's figure it out. And I just look at it and I'm like, okay. I take my child, I go to bed. He didn't sleep on the bed that day. He slept on the sitting room. In the morning, I woke up and I was just like, let me ask why he slept here. And he's like, I feel like our matrimonial bed should be just for us when we are happy. Because we are not happy, we are not in good terms, there's no need. I was like, oh, okay. My nanny came again. I received her well. She came. My daughter at this point has now started to recognize her. So she sees the nanny and she's all now bubbly and all. And that day again, still not going to work. So I'm still healing from my wounds. But the face wounds that I had have healed. Now my rib is on, that's a bit painful. You can see I'm struggling to sit or stand up and the likes. So my nanny comes, she asks me what to make for the daughter, what I would want to eat. She serves me. She never served my hubby. So she would now ask me, Mama Nani, utaserve Baba Nani? I'm like, sure. I get up, serve, like that. So on this time, he received a phone call from a lady because he put it on speaker. And the conversation did not go as he expected to because he was trying to build a slate of transparency. But that lady sounded as though that there was like a hidden agenda they were talking about. So after the phone call, he was seated trying to explain to me why it sounded odd. And I was like, okay. Then he'd leave my phone. He'd always tell me to go through his phone. It became like almost daily. Just go through my phone. Don't assume I'm texting people, like things like that. So I never did when he said I should. So one day I went through his WhatsApp and I'm like, it's too clean. I think I was so used to him doing something. So it was too clean. And I was like, oh, maybe he has actually just learned his lesson. So I just started maybe getting into the idea of he's learned his lesson. We're still in week 1 of me saying, remember I said I want 2 weeks, then I'll leave. So this is week 1, it's about to end. My mom is calling. She's like, pass by, we just do a check-in. I told my mom, I went through his phone and it's too clean. My mom is like, maybe he's learning or something, but don't change your mind. And I'm like, Mom, me knowing him, let's just give him a few more days. Something will just come up, me knowing him. It's like, why are you so sure? I'm like, you just wait. Once it happens, I'll tell you. Week 1 has ended. Now we're in week 2 before it ends. So we're in, say, day 8, day 9. I take his phone. He's on the rooftop with my daughter. They're sunbasking. He calls out from the rooftop and it's like, bring my phone. I'm like, okay. I hadn't checked his phone since that day. So it's been like about 3-4 days. I check his phone and I see this. Now WhatsApp business. I'm like, why would WhatsApp business be here? All the conversations with the women have left from WhatsApp to WhatsApp business. And of course, the girl that was in our household conversation is there, and other women. And you can see there are video calls that last like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And you can tell only on days that maybe I'm not in the house. And they're there, but they've been erased. Like the call log is not been erased, but the conversations have. So I noticed the phone is also on airplane mode. So I turned it back on. connected it to Wi-Fi, and messages started coming in. He's like, hi, how's last night? How did you sleep? Like, now conversations. Like, these were people, they were talking last night and now today. Now this is a new day. I've started again. And I was like, yes, I just knew. I just knew it would get there. I went up and I gave him the phone just as the screen is on for him to see that I've seen the conversation and the call logs. After a few minutes, he follows me down and he's starting to explain. And I just told him, Bumpy, this is just a cycle where this is what you do. Yep. So you do this, apologize, then do this. That's a cycle you have. That's the same cycle you've been having with your previous baby mama. That's not how it works. I just told him that. And I told him, people survive as being baby mamas and being single moms. That's it works. People are doing it and they're doing it perfectly. And he's like, oh, so now you want to be a single mom? I'm like, I'd rather that than one day you're good. One day we've sat down with our parents. We have a plan. 2 days, 3 days later, you're now back to talking to the women. What's that? So you think because you're not talking to them on WhatsApp, talking to them on another, like WhatsApp business is any different? And he's like, no, these women just text. I'm like, really? Someone who has just highlighted a previous conversation that you have deleted are women who have just texted. And video calls, how about the video call of yesterday? And if you look at the timestamp, it's like, this time I was at my mom's place. So what is that trying to indicate? I just told him, Bumpy, at this point, I'm not dumb. I can see and I'm reading in between the lines. So just stop. He got mad because I'm not listening to his excuse and I'm refusing to listen and to understand. My daughter was asleep as he held her. She just went, put my daughter to bed. And he came back and he's raising his voice. And I'm like, just put the child to sleep. Don't you think you'll wake her up? He lowers his voice. He took a mug and threw it to the ceiling because he was mad I was not listening to him. I told him, it's okay. This is what you always do. You break, punch, do something, hit me. So there's nothing new in your cycle. That's how used to it I was. So I just knew. Argue with him. He punched something, break something, hit me, apologize. That was my daily cycle with him. So in this time, I even wanted him to hit me so that I could live there and go write a P. It's called a P3 or P2. That's what I wanted. And he did hit me, and to a point where he scratched my thigh. I told my mom, let's go write a P3. It was a holiday. Went, we wrote the P3. My mom had to go with that letter because if I went with it, of course, another war would have come. So she went with it. And my mom all along was just asking me, you are that sure of him? And I'm like, yes. I was that sure that something would come up, especially if it includes women. It definitely will. We went home, or rather I went home. My mom went back to her house. So he asked me, oh, you were gone so long, where were you? And I'm just like, no, I just went somewhere to get some air as I drink some milkshake. So I'm back. That's just all I needed. And he's like, oh yeah, okay. So since he still felt like I was not understanding him or I didn't listen to his excuse.
This guy, Blena, switched from being this person who might have beat up this lady to being the kindest person in the world. Unaweza fikia this guy is actually bipolar because he's this thing and then he's this person. And hizo ni signs of a misogynist. Ni msee mwenye anaweza go from being irresistible to very rude and then from rude to irresistible very easily.
To why he was having conversations with women, he now wanted to bring it up again. And I'm like, I thought we already talked about this. And I just told him, we talked about it. You hit me about it. What more emphasis do you want? And then he just kept quiet. And he switched on the TV and that conversation ended. And then this one specific time, I had 3 days left to my 2 weeks. My nanny came again just in the morning, her normal routine. I've given her my daughter. I've changed her. I've done what I should. I wanted to go to work. So I go to work and I come back. I come back and I realize that he's still in the house. He was supposed to go for some job interview and to do some online interviews as well. He's still in the house. I asked him about it. He's like, no, I didn't go. I didn't feel like it was worthwhile. And I'm like, you're not earning any money. I'm going to work. On top of going to work, I have to miss some days because you've hit me so bad. Why wouldn't you just decide to help? And then I went on and told him, with the other women, you're always buying them stuff. You're always going out for coffee. Where do you get that money? Because I don't see it in this house. In this house, you're always broke. And I'm always providing for everything. And he's like, oh, so what does that mean? I'm like, it means exactly that. It means your money, whenever you get your money, it goes to other women. And I knew for a fact there's one of the women he used to see that used to give him money. So I was asking him, and how come you given money by so-and-so and you never come back to this house? Where are you taking it? Or are you using that money to take another woman out for coffee and the likes? And he's like, you're so disrespectful. You have no respect for me as your husband. And I'm like, neither do you. You have no respect for me as a wife. Mm-hmm. You're disrespectful to me, disrespectful to the women you're talking to. Mm-hmm. Honestly, at this point, I don't even think you should address anything about respect. He kept quiet. I went to the bedroom. Now, late at night, we are now talking about it. I don't want to talk about it. I said what I said. He feels like he needs to talk about it. He raises his voice 1 minute. It goes higher and higher. 1 minute, he's about to hit me with a stool. The next minute, he's now strangling me. And I'm strangled in the position that I cannot fight. He sat on my feet, that I can't push him. And his hands are around my neck to a point where I saw white and knew I was going to pass out. I stopped fighting and just stayed still. And under my voice, I was just like, you know what? I hope my daughter is okay. And I hope she's going to be okay. I accepted that I was going to die. And I accepted that the man that I once loved is the one who was going to kill me. I was okay with that. I was okay not fighting. And he let go at a point where I felt death. Visually, I felt death completely. I could describe it. I could taste it. That's how real it was. And he took that stool and as he was about to hit me after letting go from strangling me, he banged it on the floor. It woke up his mom. His mom came. She's trying to listen to us and I just told Mama Bumpy, I need to leave your son. I need to leave. And the mom could not understand because she's never heard me saying that in the power that I said it. I told my best friend what happened. I told my mom. And my mom is like, you're going to die. I'm going to lose you there. And I'm like, Mom, I have 3 days left, but I'm going to be coming earlier than I thought. And that happened to the weekend. That happened. Sunday came. Monday, I was always off on Mondays. I pretended I had a new client that was just within where we lived. And then I dressed up, carried my bag like I'm going to work. My mom was ready, my uncles were ready, my auntie was ready. Went to the cops. And I told the cops that I want to leave an abusive marriage. But my husband, the mom, would not let me. And they would not let me live with my child. The lady I was talking to asked me, how old was your child? I told them my child was 5 months. They were in shock. They're like, what would he be doing with a 5-month-old? I'm like, I also don't know. And that was that. I was told to come back on Tuesday. But that Tuesday, they were going somewhere. All of them, the whole cop station, they were going to another neighboring county for something. So I wouldn't find someone, especially in the children's services, who are going to help me. So I was told to come back on Wednesday. I couldn't go back home because now the cop has now called Bumpy and told them of what's now happening. So Bumpy is at home with my daughter and my nanny alone. I am afraid. I don't know what he'll do to my daughter. I don't know what he'll do to the nanny. The nanny called me and told me she's about to leave and I'm not yet home. And I told her to pass by my mom's because she knew where my mom lived. She'd seen me being beaten. She knew exactly what was going on. So I told her, you just continue going until the day I will come with cops to take my daughter's things, my things, and we go. So I had told her to ensure that all my daughter's things are always clean and like kept vizuri, just in case anything happens, it's just going. She's like, sure. And now she'd update me. She'd get home and then she'd tell me, my baby is fine. Of course, she's fussy because she's not breastfed. Me on my end, my boobs are solid raw because I'm still breastfeeding. I left with nothing, not a pump, not anything. So they are like hard. And I was constantly crying because I'm worried for my daughter. I'm also worried for my own self because I don't know what he's going to do at this point. So we are summoned. We are there Wednesday morning. We go and our parents are outside and we have to enter a specific room and we are talking. And for some reason, the gentleman who was listening to our case just said, nyinyi, watu wawili kwa blanketi mkishikana, yenyu ni mapenzi tu mtarudiana. That man just said, you two have been together. People who sleep on the same bed. You never know anything about them. You're just young and you just seem like you're in love. So this is just a rough patch, you'll get back together.
Basically what the Njegi anasema ni hii inaitwa D&P business. D&P business. If you know, you know. Inakuwaga ati mambo ya watu wawili usiwahi ingilia. Because utakuja sahi upatiane advice at mazee kutoka hapo this guy blah blah blah. But when these two people watakuja wakutane ati sasa wako pamoja, my friend, wewe mwenye ulikuwa unajaribu kupatiana advice wewe utakuwa the enemy, wewe ndio utakuwa the enemy of progress ya this relationship. So that's why inasemekanaga that mambo ya watu wawili usiwahi ingilia na mdomo ati unataka kupatiana advice because utaenda kuwa enemy hapo. But that is wrong coming from a cop because you guys tayari mko na P3 ya huyu mdenge and you know that she's been assaulted, yet una make statement kama hiyo, like there has to be again a problem with you. And I'm not surprised because vile wase wetu wana operating ni tofauti sana vile wase wana operate huko nje, because kama ingekuwa majuu they wouldn't even call the guy ati this is what is happening. No. Ikiwa angeenda kwa Manjege ama atapige tu simu aseme kwamba I'm being assaulted, then Manjege wangekuja wenyewe and they would have taken the guy waende wambuku huko. But that is not how things are done huku Kenya. So yeah, so they usually hope that you're going to make it the next day so that uende huko vile umekuwa summoned and all that. But I feel like things should be done differently so that to save lives, so that we're able to at least save the lives of these people whose lives are constantly in danger. Those are just my thoughts.
The cop, yes. And I just told the cop, that's okay. Until that day, that's fine. For now, we are here. This is what I want. So he's trying to listen to our stories because that's how it goes. He speaks, I speak. He speaks, I speak. And all through, I can just hear him saying, oh, it's because I don't want to listen. I'm refusing to be submissive. I don't want to be peaceful. It's because of my insecurities. But overall, I'm just in love with him. And this is just a rough patch. That's what he says, not bumpy. And I agree. And I'm like, you know what? It's okay. So I asked him, all those times you hit me, it's because you loved me, right? All those times you left our home with knowing that you're supposed to be somewhere, trying to get a job, doing something, but instead you're in a woman's house. That was also because you loved me. I asked him, all those times you are talking ill about me to another woman to gain their favor, I'm guessing that's also because you loved me. Every time you did not acknowledge that I had your child and acknowledge your child, it's also because you loved her way too much, right? So I just told the gentleman, the cop, our child is 5 months. I want to leave him and I want to live with my child. And I think for a moment he just saw how done I was, because I was not arguing about anything. I was just like, it's okay. So he agreed. I was given my child. There was a form that had to be signed that I was primary custodian. That I had 100% custody of my child. And there was somewhere else that needed to be signed that he also has 100% access to his child. So if he wants to come visit and all that, that's fine. But he specifically told me he wants nothing to do with the child. And I said, it's okay. Either way, I want it written there and we'll sign so that in case of anything, we'll refer to that specific document. Let it not be said, I refuse you to come see your child. We went home to his house. With a very big lorry, I took my clothes. I was so done to a point. All the furniture I brought from my small bedsitter, I didn't want any of them. I just took a specific shelf that I loved. And I packed everything and I left. My clothes, my baby's clothes. The rest that I left, I was just like, I'll buy others. And we left and we kept quiet. Yes, and 3-4 months later, we got in touch. The reason we got in touch is because of me. I actually called him because he had documents that we forgot to take, the birth notification of my daughter, that I forgot to carry on the day I was leaving, which I looked for in the house when I moved back in with my mom, and I couldn't find them. And then later on, I found out that they're actually there. It's only that my mom put them somewhere different. He asked to come see his daughter. And I was like, just like when we left the cop station, you have access to your daughter. I even asked him, do you want to come see her now? Because I'm off today. And he's like, yes. So he came, gave him directions to where we live now. And he came. My daughter could not recognize his dad at all. The dad was so excited to see the daughter. And the daughter saw him and cried at the top of her lungs. And I had to take her back, and I'm like, you can't take her with all that excitement. She's going to be scared. She doesn't know you. She's not familiar with you. He was like, okay. But this man tried. He tried to rekindle what he had with the daughter. But of course, it wasn't happening as fast as he wanted. And then on that day that he came, I noticed my daughter fell ill.
Now that was just for sure because alikuwa nataka Sophia aone how affectionate he is, how good of a parent he is, and how he wants to have a good relationship with the daughter. But in real sense, it was just a show so that Sophia aone and then I fall in love with that because yeah, remember he's manipulative na atatumia vitu kama hizo so that I tap into the emotions of this lady so that this lady drop guards zake so that apenye, you see. So yeah, that was just all for sure. I can guarantee that this, ukumbuke alikuwa amesema pale police station that he wants nothing to do with mtoi wake. So what is it about mtoi wake right now that amekuja akarealize that now he wants to see the child? So it's not about the child akikuja this time around. It's just anajaribu sana ku win this lady back, but yeah, kidogo itakuwa ngumu.
She got a very high fever. Okay, she had the fever, but I just assumed maybe it's the change of climate. So I had told him, she's not been feeling well, so don't take how she's acting offensively. She just might be what she's feeling. They bonded in the car, but I had to sit in the car with my daughter because she kept looking behind just to confirm that I was there. And she was okay. He also kept asking, how are you? And I'm like, I'm good. I had to remind him, remember you're here because of the child. Don't bother about how I am. As you can see, I'm fine, right? Good. And then later on, he's like, let's just keep tabs, then we can try and talk about co-parenting. And I was like, cool. So this one specific day, it was at night, I just texted, your daughter is really unwell. Do you mind picking us up tomorrow morning so that you can take her to hospital? He was like, okay. He came, picked us up, we went to hospital. She had a bacterial infection. So the type of medicine that they needed to give my daughter was injections, and we had to go there for 3 days in a row. It means I had to see this man 3 days consecutively. Would sit in the car like total strangers, just him playing with the daughter on his lap, driving like that. Then fast forward to when it was my daughter's birthday. We're still co-parenting. I had booked birthday photo shoot sessions with my daughter, and I remembered, how about I asked the dad to join in so that once she grows up, she'll have like memories and see that he was in the photos and all. So for me, it's just being considerate. And then he came, we had the shoot. And then after, he said he wants to spend the day with the daughter. And I was like, cool. Because the following day was the party. So I had to go buy a few stuff. So I was like, this will take something off my plate. And he's like, before you give me the daughter, how about we first go for lunch, all of us as a family, since it's her birthday? And I'm like, sure. We're there, we've ordered food, and he's like, you know what? I want us to talk. I'm just like, you always have an agenda. Of course, you wouldn't want to have lunch as a family and just be quiet. Like, no, I just want to talk about something. And he's like, it's been so and so months we've been apart. During this month, I've had a lot of self-reflect and talking to you and seeing how my daughter is doing. I don't want to be in her life. And I'm like, that's why we're co-parenting. That's why we are figuring it out. Long story short, we did not come to an agreement. And at the end of that conversation, his specific words were, if that's the case, if we're not going to be getting back together, now or in future, I don't want anything to do with your child. And if anybody asks me, you no longer exist to me, you and your daughter.
Told you.
And I was like, okay. And that has been that. So since then, I have been figuring out parenting as a single mom, which has been.
Told you that was all for sure. Alikuwa anataka tu njia yenye this lady anaweza lose guard yake, and then to me that opportunity to win this lady back, and then the cycle continues. So you guys, let's leave it at that. Ikiwa unataka watch the full interview, please go and support the So This Is Love podcast. Iko Spotify, iko Apple Podcasts pia. So This Is Love with Jules. It's an eye opener, and it's good that ana voice sauti ya wale wase wenye wako chini, wale wase wenye hawana platform ya kuweka stories zao, so that isaidie watu wengine. So let's support her. I ensure that you follow her. And hata vile nimesema hivyo, let me just also do the same. Let me follow her right now. I'm actually following already. So yeah, ensure that you follow her so that hii nini yake ifikie wase wengine, si ndio? So that's it, guys. It's I really love you all, and that's why unacheki kama saa saa ngapi? Saa ni 5 asubuhi. Nimekuwa nikirini for the last 4 hours, I think, recording. Yeah, so please support me by subscribing, liking, and then also sharing your comments hapo chini. Ni nini imewabamba kuhusu this episode, like your thoughts too in general. Share all that hapo chini, and see you in the next video. Peace.